The digital clock on the kitchen wall glowed red in the darkness. 3:00 a.m. The numbers seemed to pulse with each passing second, casting crimson shadows that danced across the white tile floor like restless spirits. Small hands gripped the edge of the stainless steel pot, fingers pale, knuckles prominent, the bones showing through translucent skin in a way that spoke of malnutrition, of weeks without proper food, of a body consuming itself to stay alive. Evangeline Thorne stood on a wooden chair, her bare feet cold against the painted surface. 10 years old, 42 inches tall when she should have been 48, 38 pounds when she should have weighed 65. Her body, a map of deprivation, a testimony to cruelty written in jutting ribs and hollow cheeks. She stirred the pot slowly, carefully, as if the act of stirring required all her concentration, all her remaining strength. The water was just beginning to steam, little wisps rising into the cold air of the kitchen. The thermostat had been locked at 58 degrees for weeks now, cold enough to be uncomfortable, cold enough to make you shiver constantly, but not quite cold enough to be provable abuse. A few shredded carrots floated in the liquid, orange against clear. She'd found them in the very back of the refrigerator, behind Celeste's expensive takeout containers, behind the imported cheese and organic yogurt that Eva wasn't allowed to touch. Half an onion brown at the edges, soft in places. One chicken bouillon cube she'd discovered hidden in the back of a drawer. Probably forgotten, probably considered trash, but to Eva, it was treasure. It was food. It was hope. Mama's chicken broth recipe, or what Eva could remember of it. The memory was fuzzy now, blurred by grief and time and the relentless hunger that made it hard to think clearly. But she remembered the basics: water, vegetables, something for flavor. Simmer until it smells like home. Behind her, wrapped in a thin blanket that had once been blue but was now grey from too many washings, without proper detergent, Finn sat at the kitchen table, 3 years old, so small, so fragile. His cheeks were flushed red with fever, a stark contrast to the pallor of the rest of his face, his eyes glassy and unfocused, staring at nothing, seeing nothing, lost in the fog of illness. His small chest rose and fell with each breath, but the breathing wasn't right, wasn't normal. It was too fast, too shallow, with a wet rattle that Eva knew meant something bad, something dangerous, something that needed a doctor. But Celeste said no doctor, said he was fine, said children get sick and it passes, said stop being dramatic, Evangeline. Eva glanced back at him. Her brother, her responsibility, the only person in the world who needed her, who depended on her, who would die without her. She'd been taking care of him for 12 weeks now, 84 days. She'd counted every single one, marked them in her diary in careful pencil strokes. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, all the way to Day 84. Today was Day 84, and she was so tired, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion, tired in her bones, in her soul, in the very core of who she was, the kind of tired that comes from being 10 years old and playing mother and protector and survivor all at once. The house was silent, except for the gentle bubbling of the pot and Finn's occasional cough. The kind of silence that feels heavy, oppressive, the kind that presses down on you like a physical weight, the kind that makes you afraid to breathe too loudly, afraid to move too quickly, afraid to exist too obviously. Because noise brought attention, and attention brought punishment. She reached for the wooden spoon, the same one Mama used to use. Eva could almost see her standing here, right here in this same spot, stirring soup, humming softly, smiling that smile that made everything feel safe. But Mama was gone, and nothing felt safe anymore. Eva's hand trembled as she stirred, not from the cold, though the kitchen was freezing and she wore only thin pajamas. Not from weakness, though 12 weeks of near starvation had left her muscles weak and her movements slow. No, she trembled from fear, pure primal bone-deep fear, because she wasn't supposed to be cooking, wasn't allowed to touch the stove, wasn't permitted to use food without permission, and the punishment for breaking rules was severe. But Finn needed to eat, needed something warm, something nourishing, needed it desperately. His fever had been climbing for 3 days now. 102, then 103, then 104 when she checked an hour ago with the thermometer she'd stolen from the bathroom cabinet. 104 was dangerous. She knew that, had learned it from the parenting books she'd read in secret at the library before Celeste had stopped letting her go to school. 104 meant hospital, meant danger, meant her baby brother might die if someone didn't help him. So Eva had made a choice, had climbed out of bed at 2:30 a.m., had crept down the stairs on silent feet, had pulled the chair to the stove, had found what little food she could, had started cooking, and if Celeste found her, then she found her. The punishment would be worth it if Finn got to eat, if Finn got better, if Finn survived. The pearl cross necklace around her neck caught the red light from the clock. Mama's necklace, her grandmother's before that, 3 generations of thorn women, strong women, faithful women, women who'd survived hard things and came out stronger. Eva touched it with one hand while stirring with the other, a small comfort, a tiny connection to a time when she'd felt safe, when the world made sense, when adults protected children instead of hurting them. "Please, Mama," she whispered to the empty air, to the ghost of a woman 9 months dead, to the memory that was all she had left. "Please help us. I don't know what else to do." The stairs creaked. Eva's entire body went rigid, every muscle tensing, every nerve firing. The wooden spoon froze mid-stir. Her heart hammered against her ribs so hard she thought it might actually break through, thought her chest might crack open from the force of it. Footsteps coming down, slow, deliberate, each step a pronouncement, a judgment, a promise of pain. She knew those footsteps, knew the rhythm, the weight, the terrible certainty of them. "Celeste! Evangeline!" The voice sliced through the silence like a blade through silk, cold, sharp, controlled, each syllable precisely articulated, like a teacher correcting a stupid student, like a master addressing a disobedient dog. Eva's stepmother appeared in the doorway, materialized from the shadows like something from a nightmare, tall, elegant even at 3 in the morning, her blonde hair perfectly smooth despite the hour. Not a strand out of place, her silk robe the color of cream, expensive, beautiful, spotless, her eyes the color of ice, blue, clear, empty of warmth, empty of mercy, empty of anything remotely human. "What are you doing?" Each word fell like a stone into still water, creating ripples, disturbing the surface, promising depths of danger beneath. Eva's mouth went dry, her tongue stuck to the roof of her mouth. She tried to speak, tried to explain, tried to say anything, but nothing came out, just a small choked sound, the sound of a cornered animal, the sound of prey facing a predator. "I asked you a question, Evangeline." The use of her full name, never Eva, never the nickname everyone else used, always Evangeline, formal, distant, a weapon turned against her. Finn is sick. He needs... Did I give you permission to use the stove? No, but did I give you permission to touch the food? He's hungry. He hasn't eaten since. The slap came so fast, Eva didn't see it coming, didn't see Celeste move, didn't see the hand rising, didn't see anything except a blur of motion and then white-hot explosion of pain across her cheek. One moment she was standing on the chair, the next her face was on fire, her ear ringing, her vision blurring with tears she refused to let fall. She stumbled, lost her balance, the world tilted, gravity pulled, and she fell. The chair toppled sideways with a crash that seemed impossibly loud in the silent house. Eva hit the floor hard. Her elbow cracked against the tile with a sound like a branch snapping. Pain shot up her arm, sharp, bright, stealing her breath. The wooden spoon clattered beside her, bouncing once, twice, then lying still. The pot stayed on the stove. The broth continued to simmer, steam rising, oblivious to the violence happening just feet away, oblivious to the child lying on the cold floor, oblivious to everything except the heat and the water and the simple chemistry of making soup. Eva lay on the cold tile, her cheek throbbing, her elbow screaming, her whole body shaking. She could feel the heat of the handprint forming on her face, could feel it swelling, expanding, red against pale skin, a mark, a brand, evidence that would need to be hidden tomorrow with the long hair and careful positioning. At the table, Finn began to cry, soft, scared, a sound like a kitten mewling. The cry of a child who has learned that loud crying brings worse consequences, that making noise brings punishment, that the safest thing is to be small and quiet and invisible. "Shut him up," Celeste said. Her voice hadn't changed, still cold, still controlled, still perfectly modulated, as if she'd done nothing more than swat a fly, as if she hadn't just hit a 10-year-old child hard enough to knock her to the ground, as if violence was ordinary, expected, unremarkable. Now, Eva pushed herself up, every movement agony. Her elbow wouldn't straighten properly, wouldn't bear weight. Something wrong with it, something broken maybe. But she couldn't think about that now, couldn't care about her own pain when Finn needed her. She crawled to him, across the cold tile, leaving behind the overturned chair, the scattered spoon, the evidence of her crime, her transgression, her sin. She reached Finn, pulled him into her arms, held him close against her chest, felt his small body trembling, burning with fever, shaking with fear. 3 years old and already learning that the world isn't safe, that adults don't protect, that home is the most dangerous place of all. "It's okay," she whispered into his hair, into the soft spot at the crown of his head that still smelled like baby shampoo, even though they hadn't been allowed to bathe properly in weeks. "It's okay, I'm here, I've got you." But it wasn't okay, and they both knew it, could feel it in the air, in the tension, in the way Celeste stood over them like a statue, like a judge, like an executioner waiting for the right moment to strike. The front door opened. All three of them froze. Heavy footsteps in the foyer, fast, urgent, not the slow creeping steps of someone trying to be quiet, but the hard, determined steps of someone with purpose, someone arriving, someone coming home. A man's voice calling out, loud, worried, desperate. "Evangeline Finn." Eva's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide, impossibly wide, because she knew that voice. Knew it like she knew her own heartbeat. Knew it like she knew Mama's lullabies. Knew it like she knew the feeling of safety even though she hadn't felt safe in so long. "Papa." The word came out broken, cracked, barely audible, but full of more hope than she'd felt in 84 days, more relief than she thought possible, more desperate aching, soul-deep need than any single word should be able to carry. Alexander Thorne burst into the kitchen, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, dark hair disheveled from travel, face unshaven, eyes wild with something Eva hadn't seen in months, something she'd almost forgotten existed. Fear. Real, genuine, gut-wrenching fear. Not fear of consequences or punishment or breaking rules, but fear for his children. Fear that he might be too late. Fear that something terrible had happened while he was gone. And he was right to be afraid. He took in the scene in an instant. One sweeping glance that captured everything. Eva on the floor, red handprint blazing on her too thin cheek. Finn crying in her arms, small, feverish, fragile. The overturned chair, the pot still simmering on the stove, the evidence of violence and hunger and desperation. And Celeste standing over them, perfectly composed, not a hair out of place, not a wrinkle in her expensive robe, not a sign of anything wrong, looking like a model from a catalogue. Beautiful, elegant, innocent. Alexander's face changed, transformed. Something dark and terrible moved behind his eyes. Rage, pure primal explosive rage. The kind of rage that comes from realizing you've been betrayed, lied to, manipulated. The kind of rage that comes from seeing your children hurt. What did you do? His voice was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before thunder, before lightning, before the storm breaks and destroys everything in its path. Celeste's expression didn't flicker, didn't change. The mask firmly in place. I was disciplining her. She was stealing food, breaking house rules. I was simply, get out. 2 words, simple, final, absolute. Alexander, you don't understand. I get out. Each word distinct, separate, carrying the weight of every broken promise, every ignored phone call, every lie told over video chat. Pack your things, leave this house, now, tonight. I want you gone. Celeste's perfect composure cracked. Just a hairline fracture. Just the smallest slip of the mask. But it was there. Visible. Real. You can't do this. I'm your wife. I have rights. You have nothing. Alexander crossed the kitchen in 3 strides. Long, fast, purposeful. Reached down, gathered Finn into his arms with surprising gentleness, given the rage radiating off him in waves. Then turned and pulled Eva up with his other hand, careful of her injured elbow, gentle despite his anger. These are my children, my family. You are nothing. You are no one. You were a mistake, and that mistake ends now. He looked down at Eva, really looked at her, and she watched as he truly saw her for the first time in months, watched as he took in the gaunt face, the sunken eyes, the prominent bones, the bruises on her arms that she couldn't hide, the way her collarbone jutted out too sharply, the hollow spaces where a healthy child's cheeks should have been round, the evidence of starvation written across her body like accusation. His jaw tightened, a muscle jumped in his cheek. His eyes filled with tears he fought to hold back, with rage and guilt and horror and helpless fury. "Papa," Eva whispered. Her voice broke on the word, shattered into pieces. "Papa, I tried so hard. I tried to keep us safe. I tried to take care of Finn. I tried to be good. I tried. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't." "No." His voice cracked. "No, sweetheart, you have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. This is all my fault. All of it. I left you. I should have seen, should have known, should have..." He couldn't finish, couldn't find words adequate for the magnitude of his failure. "I know you did. You saved him. You saved yourself. You're the bravest person I've ever known. And God, I'm so sorry. I'm here now. I'm here. And I'm never leaving again. Never. I promise." They stood there in the cold kitchen, father and children, holding each other, the pot still simmering on the stove, the evidence of their suffering surrounding them. The woman who'd caused it all watching with calculating eyes. Celeste watched them for a long moment. Something cold and calculating flickered across her perfect face. Then she turned, walked to the doorway, paused. "You'll regret this, Alexander. You have no idea what you're doing. No idea but what you're throwing away. I could have given you everything, but you're choosing them. Choosing those broken little things over me. You'll be sorry. Mark my words. You'll be very, very sorry." She left, her footsteps echoing up the stairs. Each step a promise, a threat, a warning of things to come. Alexander held both children. Eva could feel him trembling. Could feel the shudders running through his body, could feel the tears he was trying not to shed falling into her hair. Or maybe that was her. Maybe they were both crying. Maybe it didn't matter anymore who was crying because they were together and that was all that mattered. "We're safe," she whispered to Finn. Then louder, trying to convince herself, trying to make it true through sheer force of will. We're safe now. Papa's here. We're safe. But in the back of her mind, a small voice whispered a question she didn't want to answer, didn't want to acknowledge, didn't want to give power to by speaking aloud. Are we really safe? Or is this just the beginning? The pot on the stove continued to simmer. The broth would be ready soon, Mama's recipe. A small act of love in the darkest hour. Proof that even in the worst moments, even when everything seems lost, there's still something worth fighting for, still someone worth protecting, still hope worth holding on to. 3 a.m. had always been the loneliest time, the hour when the night feels endless, when hope seems impossibly far away, when the darkness is so complete you can't imagine morning ever coming. But for the first time in 12 weeks, for the first time in 84 days, for the first time in what felt like forever, Evangeline Thorne allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, morning was finally coming, that maybe the worst was over, that maybe against all odds they were going to survive. The clock changed. 3, 0, 1. A new minute beginning, a new hour approaching, a new day waiting just beyond the darkness, and with it the faintest hint of hope. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Stories don't start at the climax. They start at the beginning. And to understand how we arrived at that moment at 3 a.m. with a child making soup and a father coming home and a monster finally exposed, you need to understand what came before. You need to understand how it all began. Let me take you back. 9 months earlier, before the darkness descended, before everything changed, before Eva knew what real fear felt like. When her world still made sense. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and something else. Something sweet and wrong. The smell of death wearing perfume, trying to pretend it wasn't there, trying to disguise itself as something kinder, something gentler, something less final. But Eva knew that smell, had been smelling it for weeks now, knew what it meant, knew what was coming. Even at 9 years old, almost 10, she'd remind anyone who asked, she understood that some goodbyes don't come with second chances. That some doors, once closed, never open again. Eleanor Thorne lay in the hospital bed, 40 years old, but looking 60, 70, ancient. Cancer had stolen everything from her. Her curves, her color, her strength, her hair, her vitality. Everything that made her her, left behind only the essential parts, the bare minimum, bones and skin and eyes that still blazed with fierce unquenchable love. The machines beeped quietly, steadily, marking time in electronic pulses. IV bags hung from poles, clear fluid dripping, morphine, keeping the worst of the pain at bay, oxygen tube in her nose, helping her breathe, helping her stay a little longer, helping her fight a battle she'd already lost. Eva sat beside the bed, cross-legged on the uncomfortable plastic chair that was too big for her. 9 years old, but already understanding that childhood was ending. That some lessons come too early. That sometimes you grow up not because you want to, but because you have no choice. She held Mama's hand, skin papery thin, bones visible beneath, veins standing out like roads on a map, leading nowhere, going nowhere, running out. Come here, my brave girl. Eleanor's voice was barely a whisper, barely audible over the beep of machines and hum of air conditioning and distant sounds of hospital life continuing, despite the fact that in this room, in this moment, a world was ending. But Eva heard it. She always heard Mama, would always hear Mama. Even years later, even when the voice was gone, she'd still hear it in her heart, in her memory, in the quiet moments when she needed it most. She climbed onto the bed, careful, so careful, terrified of hurting Mama, of putting weight on the wrong place, of causing more pain. Mama was fragile now, like glass, like spider webs, like something that might shatter if touched too roughly. I need to tell you something important. Eleanor's hand found Eva's, squeezed with what little strength remained. A grip that once would have been strong was now barely a pressure, barely a touch. But Eva felt it like thunder, like lightning, like earthquake and flood and fire all at once. Can you be brave for me? Yes, Mama. Because what else could she say? What other answer existed when your dying mother asked for bravery? Good girl, my good girl. Eleanor reached to her neck with trembling fingers, to the pearl cross necklace she wore, had worn for as long as Eva could remember, had worn every single day, the one her own mother had worn, and her mother before that. 3 generations of thorn women, strong women, faithful women, women who'd survived impossible things and came out whole. She unclasped it, the simple motion taking forever, taking all her strength, taking everything she had left, then fastened it around Eva's neck. The pearls were warm from her skin, warm with life, warm with love, warm with everything Mama was, everything she'd always been, everything she'd continue to be even when she was gone. When I'm gone, Mama, don't. Eva's voice broke, tears spilling over, hot and fast and impossible to stop. Hush now, listen. Eleanor's eyes were fierce, urgent, burning with intensity despite the weakness of her body. Listen carefully, because I can't say this twice, don't have the strength for twice, so you need to hear it now, all of it. Can you do that? Eva nodded, couldn't speak, throat too tight, heart too broken. When I'm gone, Papa will need you. He's going to fall apart. He's probably already falling apart if I'm honest. He's not good with grief, not good with loss. He'll bury himself in work, in distraction, in anything that keeps him from feeling the pain. You'll need to be strong for him, stronger than any child should have to be. I'm sorry for that. So sorry, but there's no one else who can reach him when he's drowning. Eleanor paused, took a shaky breath. Eva could hear the rattle in her chest, the wet sound that meant the pneumonia was winning. That time was running out faster than anyone wanted to admit. And baby Finn, he's so small, only 2 years old. He won't remember me. Won't remember my voice or my laugh or the songs I sang. But you will. You'll remember for him. You'll tell him stories about me. You'll keep me alive in his heart even when I'm gone from his life. Can you promise me that? I promise, Mama. Eva's voice was barely audible, choked with tears, with grief, with the terrible weight of responsibility being placed on shoulders far too young to carry it. I know you will. I know you're strong enough. Braver than you think, stronger than you know. You have something special inside you. A light, a strength that comes from somewhere deep, somewhere true. The world is going to need that light, Eva, even when everything seems dark. Especially when everything seems dark, you keep that light burning. Promise me. I promise, Mama, I promise. I'll be brave. I'll take care of Papa and Finn. I'll keep the light burning. I promise. Just please don't go. Please stay. Please. Oh, sweetheart. Eleanor pulled her close. Eva could feel every bone in her mama's body, could feel the skeleton beneath the skin, could feel how little was left, how close the end was, could hear the rattle with each breath, the struggle, the fight that couldn't be won. I would stay if I could, would stay forever if forever was mine to choose. But God has a plan. Even when we don't understand it, even when it hurts more than we thought possible, even when it feels cruel and wrong and impossible, He has a plan. What plan? Eva's voice was tiny, lost, the voice of a child who needed answers, who needed sense in a senseless situation. What plan takes you away? What plan makes Papa so sad? What plan makes Finn grow up without his mama? What kind of plan is that? I don't know all the answers, baby. Wish I did. Wish I could explain it in a way that made sense, made it hurt less. But I can't. All I know is this: you have something special, something important, something the world needs. And maybe this is part of the path to that something. I don't know, can't know, won't know until I'm on the other side and can see things clearly. See the whole picture instead of just this one terrible moment. Eleanor stroked Eva's hair, the same way she'd done every night at bedtime, the same gentle rhythm, the same loving touch. Eva tried to memorize it, tried to commit every sensation to memory, the feel of Mama's fingers, the slight tug as they caught in tangles, the warmth, the safety, the love. She started to sing, softly, barely more than breath. An old hymn, the one she'd sung to Eva every night since birth, the one Eva would sing to Finn when she needed him to sleep, the one that would echo through years and pain and darkness as a reminder of safety, of love, of home. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Eva joined in, their voices blending. Mama's barely audible. Eva's choked with tears, but both present, both singing, both holding on to this moment because it was the last, the final duet, the goodbye. Neither wanted to acknowledge, but both knew was here. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. Eva fell asleep there, in Mama's arms, in the hospital bed, surrounded by beeping machines and antiseptic smell and the terrible truth that morning would bring loss. She fell asleep to the sound of Mama's heartbeat, irregular now, slowing, stopping and starting, fighting, trying, loving until the very last moment. When she woke, the room was full of people. Papa, nurses, Dr. Patterson, Reverend Ashford from church, all of them with somber faces, all of them with that look, that terrible pitying look that meant one thing. And Mama was gone, just like that, between one breath and the next, between sleeping and waking, between night and morning, here and then not here, present and then absent, alive and then something else, something different, something Eva didn't have words for yet. Eva touched the pearl cross at her neck, still warm, still carrying Mama's heat, Mama's life, Mama's love, the last piece of her Mama she could hold, the last physical connection to the woman who'd been everything. The funeral happened 3 days later. October sky grey as steel, rain falling in sheets, heavy, relentless, as if heaven itself was weeping, as if the sky was crying the tears Eva couldn't seem to produce anymore, as if nature itself was mourning the loss of someone who should have had 30 more years, 40 more years, forever more years. Eva stood at the graveside in her black dress, the one Mama had bought her last spring for Easter, for sunrise service and egg hunts and celebration of resurrection. Too big then, still too big now, hanging off her small frame, making her look even younger, even smaller, even more lost. She held Finn's hand, held it tight, held it like a lifeline, like an anchor, like the only thing keeping her from floating away into nothing. He was only 2, barely more than a baby, didn't understand why everyone was crying, why they were standing in the rain, why Mama's photo was displayed on an easel surrounded by flowers. "Mama sleeping," he said, over and over, his small voice innocent, uncomprehending. "Mama wake up soon. Mama tired. Let Mama sleep." Eva didn't correct him, couldn't correct him. Let him believe it a little longer. Let him keep his innocence a little longer. Let him be 2 for as long as possible. Because growing up would come soon enough. Pain would come soon enough. Understanding would come soon enough. Alexander stood beside them, still as a statue, face carved from marble. Empty, hollow. Someone had dressed him, put him in a black suit, tied his tie, but he was barely present, barely there, moving through the motions like a ghost, like someone already dead, just waiting for their body to catch up with reality. He hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, moved through the days like a zombie, like something animated by routine rather than will, by habit rather than desire, by the simple inability to stop existing even when existing was too painful to bear. After the service, people came to the house. The neighborhood ascended with casseroles and condolences, brought food they'd never eat and sympathy they couldn't accept and words that meant nothing, nothing at all. She's in a better place. God needed another angel. Time heals all wounds. At least she's not suffering anymore. Everything happens for a reason. Each phrase hollow, empty, meaningless. Well-intentioned perhaps, but useless. Worse than useless, painful. Because Mama wasn't in a better place. She was supposed to be here, in this place, in their place, in the only place that mattered. And God didn't need her more than they did. Nothing did. And time wouldn't heal this, wouldn't fix this, wouldn't make it better, would just make it different, make it distant, make it old pain instead of fresh pain, but still pain nonetheless. Eva wanted to scream at them, wanted to tell them to leave, to take their casseroles and platitudes and go away, to stop pretending they understood when they couldn't possibly understand, to stop talking about Mama like she was somewhere better when the only place she should be was here. But she stayed quiet, stayed polite, stayed still and small and invisible, because that's what Mama would have wanted, what Mama had taught her. Be gracious even when you don't feel gracious. Be kind even when kindness is the last thing you want to offer. Be bigger than your pain. One woman stayed longer than the others, long after the casseroles had been stored and the last sympathetic hug had been given and the house had emptied of everyone except family. Long after the sun had set and the rain had stopped and the day had finally mercifully ended. Tall, blonde, beautiful, in a careful constructed way, like a painting where every brushstroke had been planned, every color chosen deliberately, every line perfect, too perfect, like something that looked real but wasn't, like a photograph, like a doll, like something trying very hard to appear human but missing some essential quality that would make it true. Celeste Blackwood, Mama's friend from college, or so she said. Eva had heard the name, had seen photos in Mama's albums. Two young women smiling at a football game, at graduation, at someone's wedding, but the connection had seemed distant, casual. The kind of friendship maintained through Christmas cards and Facebook comments rather than actual presence. But here she was, present, attentive, helpful. She'd been at the funeral, at the burial, and now at the house, making coffee, organizing food, doing the things Eleanor's sisters should have been doing but couldn't because they lived too far away and had their own lives and could only stay for the service. "I'm so sorry, Alexander." Celeste's voice was soft, cultured, the voice of someone educated, someone refined, someone who knew exactly how to pitch sympathy, how to sound caring, how to say the right things. Eleanor was one of the best people I've ever known, truly. The world is smaller without her. Alexander nodded, couldn't speak, couldn't find words, could barely function. "If there's anything I can do, anything at all, please, I'm here. I mean that, truly. Whatever you need, whatever the children need, I'm here." She looked at Eva and Finn, smiled, warm, genuine, or at least it seemed genuine then. The smile reached her eyes, crinkled the corners, showed teeth that were white and straight and perfect. The smile of someone who cared, someone who wanted to help, someone good. "You poor darlings, I can't imagine what you're going through, losing your mama so young. It's not fair, it's not right. You deserved more time with her, so much more time." Eva studied her. This woman who seemed to care so much, who had kind eyes and a soft voice and said all the right things, who touched Papa's arm with just the right amount of comfort, who looked at the children with just the right amount of sympathy, who seemed perfect, too perfect. Something whispered in the back of Eva's mind, a small warning, like a draft under a door you can't quite see, like a sound too quiet to identify, like a smell that's not quite right. Nothing obvious, nothing concrete, just a feeling, an instinct, a sense that something was off even though everything appeared fine. But she pushed it aside, told herself she was being paranoid, told herself grief makes you suspicious of kindness, makes you question generosity, makes you look for problems where none exist. Because how could someone this nice be anything but nice? How could someone helping be anything but helpful? How could she be anything other than what she appeared to be? The weeks that followed blurred together, grey days bleeding into grey nights, bleeding into grey mornings. An endless cycle of grief and routine and the mechanical process of continuing to exist when existing felt impossible. Alexander went through the motions, woke up, showered, dressed, went to work, came home, sat in his study, stared at nothing, the lights off, the door closed, The silence heavy and impenetrable. He didn't eat unless Eva brought him food. Didn't sleep unless exhaustion forced him to. Didn't speak unless absolutely necessary. Just existed in a fog of grief, so thick he could barely see through it, could barely function, could barely remember what normal felt like. Eva took care of Finn, became mother and father and caretaker all at once. 9 years old playing adult, 9 years old making bottles and changing diapers, and singing lullabies in a voice that cracked with the effort of not crying. 9 years old, shouldering responsibility no child should have to carry. She made his meals, macaroni and cheese from a box, chicken nuggets from the freezer, peanut butter sandwiches cut into triangles the way Mama used to do, changed his diapers even though he was supposed to be potty training, put him to bed at 8 o'clock every night, read him stories, sang him songs, tried to be Mama even though she was just a child herself, just a lost, grieving child, trying to hold together a family that was falling apart. Maggie Whitmore helped when she could, the housekeeper who'd been with the family since before Eva was born, 68 years old, grey hair pulled back in a practical bun, comfortable shoes, capable hands, a grandmother in all but name. She cooked real meals, did laundry, kept the house running, but she couldn't fix what was broken, couldn't heal what was shattered, couldn't bring back the dead or repair the living. Could only keep the machinery of daily life functioning, while everyone inside the machine struggled to remember why they were still moving. "Your papa needs time," Maggie said one evening. Eva was at the kitchen table doing homework, math problems that didn't matter, reading comprehension about characters who had problems smaller than real life. Grief doesn't follow a schedule, doesn't have a timeline. He'll come back eventually, just needs to find his way through the fog. What if he doesn't? Eva's voice was small, scared. The question she'd been afraid to ask but couldn't contain anymore. What if he stays lost? Maggie sat down beside her, took her hand. "Then we'll go get him, together, you and me and Finn. We'll be loud enough and persistent enough and loving enough that he can't stay lost, that he has to come back. Because family doesn't give up on family, no matter how dark it gets." But the darkness persisted. November turned to December, the holidays looming, the first Christmas without Mama, the first birthday, the first everything without her. And then Celeste started coming around more often. At first it was casual, dropping off a meal, checking in, asking if they needed anything, the same kind gestures any friend would make, any decent person trying to help a grieving family. But gradually the visits became longer, more frequent, more personal. She'd stay for dinner, help with cleanup, sit with Alexander in the living room, talk quietly about Eleanor, about loss, about how life has to go on even when going on seems impossible, about how the living have to keep living even when they don't want to. Eva watched from the stairs, saw how Celeste's hand would rest on Papa's shoulder, saw how she'd brush his hair back from his forehead, saw how she'd smile that perfect smile and say exactly the right things in exactly the right tone, saw how Papa responded, how he started smiling back, small smiles, barely there, but smiles nonetheless. "She's helping your Papa," Maggie said when Eva asked about it. "He needs someone right now, someone who understands. Someone who can talk to him like an adult instead of tiptoeing around the grief. It's good she's here, I guess." But that whisper in the back of Eva's mind grew louder, insistent. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Something's wrong. 3 months after the funeral, Alexander called Eva into his study. It was January now. The holidays survived, if not enjoyed. Christmas morning hollow despite the presents. New Year's passing without celebration. Just time marching forward regardless of whether they were ready. Eva stood in the doorway. The room smelled like leather and old books and Papa's cologne. Familiar smells, safe smells. But something felt different. Something felt off, like the air before a storm, like the silence before thunder. "Come sit, sweetheart." She climbed into the chair across from his desk, the big leather chair that swallowed her small frame. Her feet dangling, not touching the floor, making her feel even smaller than she already was. Alexander cleared his throat, looked uncomfortable, couldn't meet her eyes. I need to talk to you about something important, something that's going to change things, something I hope you'll understand even though it's fast, even though it might seem wrong, even though he stopped, started again. You know Celeste has been helping us a lot these past few months. She's been here, been present, been someone I could talk to when the darkness got too heavy. Eva's stomach tightened. She knew what was coming, could feel it in the air, in the way Papa was talking, in the way he wouldn't look at her. Well, she and I have been talking about the future, about what's best for this family, about what we need to heal, to move forward, to build something new from what we've lost. Eva's hands gripped the arms of the chair, knuckles white, holding on. I've asked her to marry me, and she said yes. The words hung in the air, heavy, final, impossible to take back once spoken aloud, impossible to unhear, impossible to pretend hadn't been said. Eva stared at him, tried to process, tried to understand. Marry Celeste. 3 months. 3 months since Mama died and he was already replacing her. Already moving on. Already pretending like Mama never existed. Like their family never mattered. Like love was something disposable, replaceable, exchangeable for the next pretty face that smiled at the right time. I know it seems fast, Alexander said quickly, words tumbling out, defensive, guilty. I know it's only been 3 months. I know people will talk, will judge, will say I didn't love your mother if I'm moving on this quickly. But sweetheart, we need help. I need help. I can't do this alone. Can't raise 2 children and run a company and function in the world without someone, without support. He finally looked at her, eyes pleading, begging for understanding, for permission, for forgiveness for something he was going to do regardless of her answer. You and Finn need a mother figure, someone to care for you when I'm at work, someone to help with homework and bedtime and all the things your mama used to do, all the things I don't know how to do, all the things I'm failing at. Celeste loves you both, wants to be a family, wants to help us heal. We are a family. Eva's voice was small, quiet, but firm. You, me and Finn, we're a family. We don't need anyone else. We can figure it out together. Just us. Please, Papa. Please don't. Eva. His voice was gentle but final. You're 9 years old. Almost 10, I know, but still a child. You shouldn't have to raise your brother. Shouldn't have to make meals and do laundry and be the adult. You should be playing, going to school, being a kid, having a childhood. Celeste can give you that, can give us all that, can help us be a family again. But what about Mama? The question hung between them, the real question, the one that mattered more than anything else. What about Mama? Eva repeated, voice breaking. What about loving her? What about missing her? What about remembering her? If you marry someone else so fast, what does that say? That she didn't matter, that she was easy to replace, that 3 months is enough time to stop loving someone. Alexander's face crumpled. No, sweetheart. That's not what this means. Not at all. Your mama will always be part of us. Always be loved. Always be remembered. This isn't about replacing her. It's about surviving without her. It's about finding a way to keep living when the person who made life worth living is gone. But 3 months is arbitrary. Would 6 months be better? A year, 2 years. When is the right time to stop being paralyzed by grief, to start functioning again, to try to build something new even if it's not what we wanted, even if it's not what we would have chosen, even if it feels wrong because nothing will ever feel right again. He stood up, came around the desk, knelt in front of her chair, took her hands in his. They were shaking, both of them shaking. I loved your mama more than anything, more than life itself, and losing her nearly destroyed me, is destroying me, every day, every moment. But I have 2 children who need me present and functional and capable of caring for them, and I can't do that alone. I have tried. God knows I've tried, but I'm drowning, Eva, drowning. And Celeste is offering to help pull me back to shore, to help us all get back to shore. Tears ran down Eva's face, silent, hot, full of grief and confusion and a feeling she couldn't name. Betrayal maybe, or loss, or the terrible understanding that nothing would ever be the same again, that this was another ending, another goodbye, another door closing. When? She whispered. Next month, February. Small ceremony at the courthouse. Just close friends. Nothing big. Your mama wouldn't have wanted a big production, wouldn't have wanted a spectacle. Just something simple, something quiet, something that lets us move forward. 1 month, 4 weeks, 30 days until everything changed again. The wedding happened on a Tuesday in February, Valentine's Day. Alexander said it was symbolic, about love and new beginnings and hope for the future. But Eva thought it was cruel, thought it was wrong, thought it was taking a day that had always been about mama roses and chocolate and cards with too many hearts and giving it to someone else. The courthouse was cold, sterile, all marble and fluorescent lights and the smell of old paper and bureaucracy. People lined up for permits and licenses and legal documents that would change their lives in ways they probably didn't fully understand yet. Eva stood in her best dress, navy blue, the one she wore to church, the one that was getting too small but not small enough to justify buying a new one yet. Held Finn's hand. He was 2.5 now, dressed in a tiny suit that made him look like a miniature businessman, confused about why they were here, why everyone looked so serious, why Papa was wearing his nice clothes, but they weren't going to church. Maggie stood with them. She'd been invited, one of the close friends. But her face was tight, disapproving. She'd tried to talk to Alexander there, tried to suggest waiting, tried to say 3 months was too fast, tried to warn that something felt off about Celeste, about how quickly she'd inserted herself into their lives, about how convenient her timing was. But Alexander hadn't listened, couldn't listen, was too desperate for relief from grief to hear warnings about the person offering that relief. Reverend Ashford wasn't there, hadn't been invited. This wasn't a church wedding, wasn't blessed, wasn't sanctified, just a legal transaction, a signing of papers, a changing of status from single to married with no acknowledgement of God or faith or the sacred nature of vows. A judge appeared, middle-aged man with tired eyes. He'd done this 1,000 times, married countless couples, routine, mechanical, just another Tuesday morning turning strangers into spouses with the signing of documents and speaking of standard phrases. Dearly beloved. But there was no one beloved here, no congregation, no witnesses beyond the minimum required. Just Alexander and Celeste and 2 children and a reluctant housekeeper in a cold government building at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. Alexander wore his best suit, the one he'd worn to Mama's funeral. Eva noticed, wondered if he noticed, wondered if he thought about the fact that the last time he'd worn this suit he was burying his wife, and now he was marrying her replacement. Celeste looked perfect. Cream-colored dress, not white even, she had enough awareness to avoid white but cream. Elegant, expensive, hair styled, makeup flawless, carrying a small bouquet of roses. Red roses, the same roses Alexander used to give Mama every Valentine's Day. Eva felt sick. The ceremony took 11 minutes. Eva counted every second, watched the clock on the wall, tick, tick, tick. Each second another piece of Mama being erased, replaced, forgotten. Do you, Alexander Thorne, take Celeste Blackwood to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. 2 words, simple, final, irrevocable. Do you, Celeste Blackwood, take Alexander Thorne to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Her voice clear, strong, certain, victorious. Then by the power vested in me by the state I now pronounce you, husband and wife, you may kiss. They kissed, brief, chaste, appropriate for a courthouse with children present. But Eva saw the way Celeste's hand lingered on Alexander's chest. Possessive, claiming, mine now, Papers were signed. Witnesses, Maggie and the judge's clerk signed their names. Legal, binding, done. They were married. Celeste knelt down in front of Eva afterward, in the hallway. People streaming past them with their own documents and business and lives. She took Eva's hands. Her own hands soft, manicured. Perfect nails painted neutral pink. I know this is strange, sweetheart. Her voice was warm, comforting. The voice of someone who cared. Someone who wanted to help. Someone good. I know I can never replace your mama. Would never try to replace her. She was special, irreplaceable. The best person I've ever known. But I promise both of you, I'm going to love you and care for you like you're my own. We're going to be so happy together. We're going to be a family. A real family, I promise. Her eyes were sincere, warm, kind. The eyes of someone telling the truth. The eyes of someone who meant every word. Eva wanted to believe her. Desperately wanted to believe that maybe this would be okay. That maybe Papa was right. That maybe they needed this, needed her, needed someone to fill the empty space Mama left behind. She nodded. Okay. Good girl. Celeste pulled her into a hug. Eva smelled her perfume. Expensive, floral, nothing like Mama's simple lavender soap. Nothing like the smell that meant home and safety and love. This was different, foreign, new, not necessarily bad, just different. My sweet, sweet girl, we're going to take such good care of each other. They went to lunch afterward. A nice restaurant, white tablecloths and too many forks and waiters who spoke quietly. Finn got chicken fingers. Eva got pasta. Alexander and Celeste got something fancy. Wine for the adults, sparkling cider for the children. Toast to new beginnings and blended families and love conquering all. Maggie didn't come. Said she had things to do at home. Said congratulations, but her eyes said something else. Said warning. Said be careful. Said I see something you don't. But no one was listening. No one wanted to hear. That night, Celeste moved into the house, into Mama's room, into Mama's space, into Mama's life. She brought suitcases, boxes, clothes that smelled like that perfume, makeup and jewelry and expensive things that now lived on Mama's vanity, in Mama's closet, where Mama's things used to be. Alexander had cleared it out the week before, donated Mama's clothes, packed away her jewelry, made space for the new wife, for the new life, for the pretense that this was normal and right and exactly what they needed. For the first few weeks, things seemed fine, good even. Celeste cooked real dinners, roast chicken and vegetables and homemade bread. Not the frozen dinners and takeout that had sustained them for months. Real food, served on real plates, at a table where everyone sat together. She read bedtime stories to Finn, helped Eva with homework, did laundry and grocery shopping and all the domestic tasks that had fallen through the cracks during the grief. The house started functioning again, started feeling like a home instead of a museum of mourning. Alexander smiled again, laughed occasionally, started sleeping through the night, started eating regular meals, started being present instead of absent, started being a person again instead of a ghost. Maybe it would be okay. Maybe Papa was right. Maybe they could be happy. Maybe. Then came the business trip, 6 weeks after the wedding. March. Spring beginning to push through winter. Crocuses in the yard. Days getting longer. Everything awakening from hibernation. Alexander's phone rang at dinner. A problem in Tokyo. Something urgent. Something that required his personal attention. Something that couldn't be handled remotely. He needed to go. Needed to leave. Needed to be gone, for he wasn't sure. 2 weeks. Maybe more. The London office had issues too. Might need to swing through Paris. Could be 6 weeks. Could be 8. Could be longer. I don't want to go, Alexander said that night, eve of departure, suitcase half packed on the bed. But it's important. The company needs me. If I don't handle these, we could lose contracts, lose business, lose the security that lets us live like this. He looked at Eva. She was standing in the doorway, watching, anxious. Something twisting in her stomach, that whisper back, louder now. Wrong, 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 don't let him go, something bad will happen. Can you be brave for me? Alexander knelt down, took her hands. The same question Mama had asked. Be brave, always be brave, even when bravery feels impossible. Can you take care of things here while I'm gone? Eva wanted to scream, wanted to beg him not to go, wanted to tell him about the whisper, the feeling, the certainty that something was wrong even though she had no evidence, no proof, no reason beyond instinct. But Mama had made her promise to be brave. Yes, Papa. That's my girl. He hugged her tight. She breathed in his cologne, his scent, him, tried to memorize it, hold on to it, keep it for the weeks ahead. Celeste will take care of everything. You don't have to worry about anything. Just be good. Mind her. Help with Finn. I'll call every day. Video chat every night. It'll go fast. Before you know it, I'll be home. And this will all be over and everything will be back to normal. But even as he said it, even as he promised, Eva knew it wasn't true. Knew normal was gone forever. Knew everything was about to change. The next morning, Alexander's car pulled away. Eva watched from the window, watched until it disappeared around the corner, watched until there was nothing left to see but empty street and normal Tuesday morning, and the crushing certainty that something terrible was beginning. Finn stood beside her, 2.5 years old, not understanding. Papa coming back? Yes, Eva said. Because what else could she say? Papa always comes back. But as she stood there looking out at the empty street, touching Mama's pearl cross for comfort, that whisper became a shout. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. The door to Papa's study clicked shut behind them, locked from outside. Eva heard it, heard the key turn, heard the bolt slide home. She turned around. Celeste stood in the hallway, watching them. Her expression had changed. The warm smile was gone. The kind eyes were cold. The loving stepmother was gone, and someone else was standing in her place. Someone Eva didn't recognize. Someone who smiled with teeth that looked sharp. Well then, Celeste said softly, her voice different now, colder, harder, real for the first time. Now that it's just us, I think we need to establish some new rules around here. Some very specific rules about how things are going to work from now on. Rules you're going to follow. Without question, without complaint, without telling anyone, especially not your father. Because if you do tell, if you say even one word, there will be consequences. Severe consequences for you and for that baby brother you care so much about. Do you understand me, Evangeline? And just like that, the mask fell away. The monster revealed itself and the nightmare began. The hospital discharged Finn after 5 days. Antibiotics had worked, pneumonia retreating, but the damage went deeper than lungs. Dr. Patterson handed Alexander a thick file, evidence written in clinical language. 38 pounds, should be 65. Multiple contusions in various stages, old fractures, wrist and 2 ribs healed without treatment. Frostbite scarring, severe malnutrition. This isn't neglect, Mr. Thorne. This is systematic torture. Each word a hammer blow. Each sentence another nail in Celeste's coffin. I filed my mandatory report, Child Protective Services, police. This is criminal. Multiple felonies. With evidence like this, conviction is almost certain. Detective Catherine Brennan arrived that afternoon, sat with Eva in a quiet room, recording device on the table. Eva, I need you to tell me everything. And Eva told her. 40 minutes of testimony, the locked pantry, the cellar, the snow, the burn marks, Finn's illness, Celeste's refusal to help. Every detail delivered in a voice that remained steady through sheer will. When she finished, Detective Brennan wiped her eyes. You're the bravest kid I've ever met. 3 hours later, crime scene tape across the house. They found the diary under Eva's mattress. Purple cover. 84 days documented. Day 1. Papa left today. Celeste said new rules. I'm scared. Day 84. Finn is dying. I don't know what to do. God, please help us. In the cellar, scratches on the wall. Eva counting hours. In the kitchen, the combination lock still on the pantry. In the bathroom, stolen bandages, hidden. Evidence everywhere. Harrison Caldwell catalogued everything. We have got Patterson's records, Maggie's notebook, Eleanor's USB, Eva's diary. This is overwhelming. Is it enough? Alexander asked. More than enough. Celeste Blackwood is going to prison for life. But Harrison didn't know, didn't understand that the other side would fight back, that before this was over, everything would get much worse. 48 hours after Celeste's arrest. Alexander woke to his phone exploding. Check the news, now. Montgomery Pierce's face on screen. My client is a victim of a vindictive man with unlimited resources. This is persecution, not prosecution. The media war had begun. Talk shows debated. Twitter exploded. Half believed Eva. Half called her a liar. The threats started. Someone followed Maggie home. Black SUV, no plates. Break through Lillian Harper's classroom window. Note: keep your mouth shut. Then, the worst. Jennifer Walsh received a photo. Her 8-year-old sister, playing at school. Message: testify and we visit her next. 48 hours. Jennifer sat in the safe house, crying. How can I risk Lily, my baby sister? Eva texted her. I understand. Protect your sister. I'll testify anyway. I'll tell your story too. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Finally. No, I mean, we do this together for all the children. 3 days before trial. Eva couldn't sleep. Sat at the kitchen table at 2 a.m. reading Mama's diary. March 28th, Celeste visited. Something felt wrong. She asked too many questions about finances. My instincts are screaming. Mama had known, had tried to warn them, but no one believed her. Maggie found Eva, sat down. Can I tell you something? When I was 9, my stepfather hurt me for 3 years. I never told. He moved on to my younger sister because I stayed silent. That's why I documented everything with you. Never again would I let fear make me a coward. Reverend Ashford visited, showed Eva Mama's note in the Bible margin. For my Eva, God doesn't give us courage. He gives us Himself. And that's enough. Jennifer called. I'm thinking about backing out. They threatened Lily again. Eva's heart sank. Protect your sister. I'll fight for both of us. Silence. Then, no, I'm testifying. My parents are taking Lily into protective custody. New names, new city. It's worth it. Stopping Celeste is worth it. Trial day arrived. The courthouse loomed. Eva climbed the steps. Navy blue dress. Mama's pearl cross. Impossibly small but walking anyway. Media swarmed. Cameras. Questions. Chaos. Inside the courtroom, packed. Celeste entered. Changed by prison, but still dangerous. Their eyes met. Celeste smiled. Cold. You think you've won, but this isn't over. Judge Hastings presiding. Mr. Pierce, your opening statement. Montgomery Pierce stood, smiled warmly at the jury, began to lie. Celeste Blackwood is not a monster. She's a woman who tried to help a broken family. Evangeline is a traumatized child who acted out, who resented her stepmother. Discipline isn't abuse. Structure isn't cruelty. Eva's hands clenched. He was good, making Celeste sound reasonable, making Eva sound troubled. And there's something else. Celeste is also a victim, sexually abused by her stepfather for 5 years. Her mother did nothing. That trauma shaped her. Hurt people hurt people. She's both victim and accused, both damaged and trying. The jury looked conflicted, sympathetic. This was the twist number 7. The complexity, monster or victim. Both peers called Dr. Reynolds, psychiatrist. Celeste has severe PTSD, attachment disorder, from childhood abuse. This doesn't excuse, but explains her harsh parenting. Sarah Hoffman cross-examined. Eva was also traumatized, but she became a protector, not an abuser. That's choice, not fate. But the seed was planted, doubt growing. Then Pierce called Celeste. She took the stand, told her story, childhood abuse, trying to help. Evangeline's resentment. Did you lock them in the cellar? The basement once. 15 minutes. She broke a vase. That's discipline, not abuse. Did you make them stand in snow? On the covered porch, 5 minutes, teaching about wearing coats. She exaggerates everything. Every word a lie. Every explanation plausible. Sarah's cross-examination was brutal, but Celeste held firm, played victim perfectly. That night, Eva cried. They believe her. Tomorrow was her turn. Morning. Eva couldn't eat. Threw up twice. Maggie helped her dress. You ready, sweet girl? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Court convened. Sarah stood. The prosecution calls Evangeline Thorne. Eva's legs shook. The walk to the witness stand felt eternal. She climbed into the chair, feet dangling. The bailiff held out the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Eva touched Mama's cross. I do. Sarah approached gently. Tell us what happened after your mama died. Eva took a breath, began. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. 12 weeks compressed into testimony. The hunger, the cellar, the snow, Finn's illness, every detail clear, honest, powerful. The jury listened, riveted, several crying. Why didn't you call your father? She said Finn would disappear forever. She said she'd make it look like an accident. I believed her. I was so scared. Sarah paused. Is there anything else you want the jury to know? Eva looked at the 12 people. I'm not lying. Every word is true. Jennifer is here today. Celeste did the same thing to her 3 years ago. But no one believed her. If you don't believe me today, she'll do it again. She'll find another family, another child. And I can't let that happen. I won't. No further questions. Recess, 15 minutes. Eva's last chance to back out, but she didn't. Montgomery Pierce stood, smiled. But his eyes were calculating. That was quite a story, Eva. It's not a story, it's the truth. Memory is tricky, isn't it? You said 12 weeks, but records show 8. 12 weeks. I counted every day. He tried different attacks, showed the wedding photo. If she was evil, why are you smiling? Because I was 10, I wanted to believe adults were good. I learned I was wrong. He pushed harder. You're lying for attention. I'm not lying. Eva's voice cracked, tears falling, but she didn't stop. She locked me in a freezing cellar for hours, made me stand in snow until I got frostbite, starved us, was killing Finn. And you're trying to make me sound crazy, but I'm not. I'm telling the truth, every word. And if you don't believe me, more children will get hurt. Because that's what she does. She hurts children. And people like you let her. Silence. Complete silence. Judge Hastings intervened. Mr. Pierce, do you have actual questions? No further questions. Eva climbed down, collapsed into Alexander's arms. The jury watched, and in that moment they decided. Not based on evidence alone. Based on a 10-year-old girl who'd looked evil in the face and said no more. 3 days of deliberation. 72 hours of Eva, unable to eat, unable to sleep, waiting for 12 strangers to decide her truth. Day 3. Alexander's phone rang. They're back, 1 hour. The courtroom more packed than ever. Eva took her seat, held Mama's teddy bear, prayed. Judge Hastings entered. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreperson stood. Grandmother, teacher, she'd cried during Eva's testimony. We have your honor. On the count of child abuse in the first degree, how do you find guilty? Gasps, sobs, relief. On the count of attempted murder, guilty. Alexander squeezed Eva's hand. On the count of fraud, guilty. On the count of conspiracy to commit murder, guilty. The courtroom erupted. Celeste stood, violent, knocked her chair backward. No, this is wrong. I'm innocent. That child is lying. Bailiffs moved toward her. She fought, screaming, flailing. I should have killed her when I had the chance. You and that stupid baby I should have Security tackled her, handcuffed her, dragged her away still screaming. As they passed, Eva Celeste lunged, tried to reach her. Eva watched, calm now. This woman had no power anymore. Judge Hastings gavelled. Sentencing in 1 week. Eva breathed. It was over. Finally. Truly over. 1 week after the verdict, sentencing day arrived with winter rain. The kind of cold, persistent rain that seeps into bones. That makes you want to stay inside, stay safe, stay protected. But Eva went anyway. Had to. Needed to see this through to the very end. Needed to watch justice finally fully, completely served. The courtroom was different this time. Quieter, more solemn. The circus atmosphere gone. The media still present but subdued, respectful. This was the ending, the final chapter. The moment when words became consequences. When crimes became sentences. When abstract justice became concrete years. Celeste sat at the defense table. Prison had continued its work. She looked older, harder. The veneer stripped away completely now. No more pretending, no more masks. Just the raw reality of someone who'd done terrible things and was about to pay for them. Judge Hastings entered. Everyone rose. The ritual of justice playing out one final time. We are here for sentencing in the matter of the state versus Celeste Blackwood. Before I pronounce judgment, I will hear victim impact statements. Is the prosecution ready? Yes, Your Honor. Jennifer Walsh spoke first. 16 years old, no longer the frightened girl who'd almost backed out. Stronger now, changed by courage. For 3 years after Celeste abused me, I lived with shame. I thought it was my fault. Thought I was weak. Thought I deserved what happened. My own father didn't believe me. Sent me away. And Celeste got away with it. Got to hurt Eva and Finn because I was too scared to fight harder. Her voice strengthened. But I'm not scared anymore. Seeing her convicted helps me heal. Helps me believe that speaking up matters. The truth matters. The children matter. Thank you for believing us. For protecting the children who will never be her victims. Because you stopped her today. She sat, wiped her eyes. But they were tears of relief, of closure, of finally being heard. Maggie Whitmore spoke next, 75 years old, but strong, determined. I worked for the Thorne family for 20 years, watched Eva grow from a baby to a beautiful child, loved them like my own grandchildren, and I failed them. I saw the abuse. I documented it, but I didn't call the police soon enough, didn't do enough. That's my burden to carry for the rest of my life. She looked directly at Celeste. But you chose cruelty. You chose evil. You had a choice every single day, every single moment. You could have chosen kindness, chosen help, chosen love. But you chose torture instead. You chose to hurt children who couldn't fight back, who trusted you, who needed you. And for that choice you need to pay. For the rest of your life. Dr. Patterson delivered clinical testimony. I have treated thousands of children in my career, seen injuries, illnesses, accidents. But what was done to Evangeline and Finn Thorne was not accident, not negligence, not even simple abuse. This was calculated torture, systematic cruelty designed to cause maximum suffering without leaving obvious evidence, without triggering immediate intervention. He flipped through his notes. Another 12 hours and we'd be discussing murder, not attempted murder. Another week and Evangeline's malnutrition would have caused permanent organ damage, perhaps death. This wasn't a stressed parent making mistakes. This was a predator methodically destroying children, and she would have killed them, given time, given opportunity. We'd be at a funeral instead of a sentencing. Finally, Alexander stood, held a piece of paper. His hands trembled, but his voice was steady. Your Honor, I want to read something my late wife wrote 3 weeks before Celeste murdered her. The courtroom went silent, complete, total, holding collective breath. Alexander read Eleanor's letter, her dying warning, her desperate attempt to save her children from beyond the grave, her final act of love. When he finished, he folded the paper carefully, met Celeste's eyes. My wife died knowing her children were in danger, died trying to protect them, and I ignored her. Thought I knew better, married her killer, left my children alone with a monster. I will never forgive myself for that, never. But I'm asking you, begging you, make sure Celeste Blackwood never has the chance to hurt anyone else. Ever again, make sure that when she dies, it's behind bars, alone, forgotten, the way she tried to make my children die. He sat. Eva climbed into his lap, even though she was too big for it now, held him while he cried silently. This giant of a man, this millionaire businessman, broken by guilt and love and the terrible weight of failure. Judge Hastings waited. Let the emotion breathe. Let the pain have space. Then spoke. Mrs. Blackwood, do you wish to make a statement before sentencing? Montgomery Pierce leaned over, whispered urgently, shook his head no, advised the silence. But Celeste pushed him away, stood. Yes, I want everyone in this room to know something. Mrs. Blackwood, I strongly advise. Montgomery tried. She ignored him. I did nothing wrong. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the courtroom. Eleanor Thorne died of cancer, not poison. Cancer. I was her friend, her nurse. I tried to help her, and when she died, I tried to help her family. I married Alexander because those children needed a mother. I tried to raise them properly, discipline them, teach them respect and responsibility and consequences. Her voice rose, that edge of hysteria creeping back. And this is how I'm repaid, with lies, with accusations, with conspiracy at that child. She pointed at Eva with shaking finger. She's a manipulator, a liar, a spoiled brat who couldn't handle normal discipline, who made up stories to get attention, to punish me for not being her precious mother. And her father, he's so consumed by guilt that he believed her, needed someone to blame, so he blamed me. She was breathing hard now, eyes wild, completely unhinged. All of this is a miscarriage of justice. And someday the truth will come out. Someday you'll all see, you'll all know. I was innocent. I am innocent. And you're destroying an innocent woman because a child lied and a wealthy man paid for the best story. She sat, breathing hard. Montgomery Pierce's face was stone, his closing argument destroyed by his own client's uncontrolled outburst. The courtroom sat in stunned silence. Even now, even after conviction, even facing life in prison, she was still lying, still denying, still refusing to acknowledge what she'd done. Judge Hastings's expression was ice. Mrs. Blackwood, in 32 years on this bench, I have heard many defendants claim innocence, insist they were wrongly convicted, but rarely, very rarely, have I encountered someone so completely divorced from reality, so utterly unable to accept responsibility for their actions, so thoroughly committed to their own delusion. She picked up the sentencing guidelines, read aloud. The crimes you committed are among the most heinous I have encountered in 3 decades of jurisprudence. You murdered Eleanor Thorne through systematic poisoning over a period of months. You tortured 2 innocent children, starved them, beat them, locked them in conditions that caused permanent physical damage. You attempted to murder a 3-year-old child by denying him medical care for life-threatening pneumonia. And throughout all of this, you showed no remorse, no empathy, no humanity, no conscience. She paused. Let the words sink in. The law allows me to impose consecutive sentences for each count. I intend to use that authority to its fullest extent, to ensure that you never have the opportunity to harm another child, to ensure that the rest of your life is spent contemplating the suffering you caused, to ensure that justice, though delayed, is finally and completely served. She looked at the papers before her. On the count of first-degree murder of Eleanor Thorne, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Celeste's face went white. On the count of attempted murder of Finn Thorne, 25 years to life. On the count of child abuse in the first degree against Evangeline Thorne, 25 years to life. On the count of child abuse in the first degree against Finn Thorne, 25 years to life. On the counts of fraud, conspiracy and perjury, 15 years. Judge Hastings did the math aloud, making absolutely certain everyone understood. Total sentence, 120 years in maximum security prison. No possibility of parole, no early release, no good behavior reduction. You will spend every remaining day of your life behind bars, Tamil Blackwood. You will die in prison, and that is the only mercy these children will ever receive from you. The gavel fell. The sound echoed through the courtroom like thunder, like finality, like justice. Celeste sat frozen, the reality finally fully penetrating. 120 years. She was 35. Would be 155 when the sentence ended. If she even lived that long, she'd never breathe free air again, never taste good wine, never wear designer clothes, never sleep in a comfortable bed, never manipulate another victim, never hurt another child. Her life was over. Finished. Done. The bailiffs came for her. She didn't fight this time, just stood hollow, empty, finally understanding what she'd lost, what she'd become, what she'd destroyed, including herself. As they led her past Eva one final time, their eyes met. One last exchange, one final moment. Celeste's lips moved, soundless. But Eva read them anyway. I should have killed you. Eva's response was equally silent, but infinitely more powerful. You tried, I survived, you lost. And that was it. Yeah. The final word, the last exchange, Eva's victory, complete and absolute. Celeste was led away. The door closed. The monster was caged. The children were safe. Justice, though slow, though painful, though costly, had finally been served. Time is strange. It moves forward relentlessly, whether you're ready or not, whether you want it to or not, whether you've healed or not. 7 years passed. The seasons turned their endless wheel. Winter became spring, became summer, became fall. Again and again and again. Each cycle bringing small changes, small healings, small victories over trauma that refused to fully release its grip. Eva grew. 10 became 11, became 13, became 15, became 17. The transformation was remarkable. The thin, frightened child who testified at 10 was gone. In her place stood a young woman. Still small, trauma had stunted her growth permanently, the doctor said, but strong, capable, radiant with the kind of beauty that comes from surviving impossible things. Her body had filled out, the hollow cheeks rounded, the jutting bones covered with healthy muscle and soft curves. The permanent frostbite scars on her toes still ached in winter. The wrist that had been broken and healed wrong still couldn't bend completely. But she'd learned to live with these reminders, these proof marks of survival. Finn grew too. 3 became 10. The sick toddler transformed into a healthy boy. Baseball player pitcher with a wicked curveball. Honor roll student who loved math and science. Funny kid who made everyone laugh. Kind soul who couldn't walk past a stray dog without stopping to pet it. He remembered pieces of those 12 weeks. Fragments. The cold. The hunger. Eva singing to him. The hospital. But Dr. Harrison, the child psychologist who'd worked with both of them for years, said that was okay. Said those memories could coexist with new better ones. Said healing didn't mean forgetting. Meant integrating. Meant making peace with what was while building what could be. Alexander changed most of all. The workaholic millionaire who'd missed everything that mattered became a present father. He sold his company 2 years after the trial, took a consulting position that required minimal travel, set firm boundaries, no meetings after 5, no work on weekends, no business trips longer than 2 days. He coached Finn's little league team badly but with enthusiasm. attended every one of Eva's school events, concerts, award ceremonies, parent-teacher conferences, learned to braid hair through YouTube tutorials, mastered pancakes and grilled cheese and other simple meals, told bedtime stories even when the children insisted they were too old. He'd never forgive himself completely. That guilt lived in him like a second heart, beating, aching, reminding him every day of the 12 weeks his children had suffered while he was oblivious. But he channeled it into action, into being better, into making sure his children knew every single day that they were loved, protected, valued above everything else in the world. The house changed too. Too many bad memories in the old place. Too many ghosts. The kitchen where Eva had stood at 3 a.m. making soup. The cellar where she'd been locked in darkness. The yard where she'd stood in snow until her feet turned blue. They moved 6 months after the trial to a different neighborhood across town. A smaller house, more cozy than grand, more home than mansion. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big kitchen with windows that let in light, backyard with a swing set and garden. Maggie came with them, not as housekeeper anymore, as family. Grandmother in all but name. She had her own room on the first floor. Her knees couldn't handle stairs anymore. Her own space. But she spent most of her time in the kitchen, baking cookies, teaching Eva to cook, teaching Finn to appreciate good food made with love and attention. She'd become the heart of their home, the steady presence, the gentle wisdom, the unconditional love that asked nothing in return. And through it all, through every birthday and holiday and ordinary Tuesday, they healed, slowly, imperfectly, with setbacks and nightmares and therapy sessions that left them exhausted. But genuinely, truly, deeply, they healed. The morning of Eva's 17th birthday dawned clear and cold. December 17th, 7 years to the day since that terrible 3 a.m. when everything had changed, when Papa had come home, when the nightmare had ended, when healing had begun. Eva woke at 5 a.m. Old habits die hard. Even after 7 years of safety, her body still woke before dawn, still felt most alert in the quiet hours, still couldn't quite shake the hypervigilance that trauma had burned into her nervous system. But she didn't fight it anymore, had learned to accept this part of herself, the part that would always be a little bit broken, a little bit changed, a little bit marked by what she'd survived. She got dressed. Comfortable jeans, soft sweater in deep blue. Finn said it made her eyes look pretty. Mama's pearl cross around her neck. Always, every single day. The one constant, the one piece of jewelry she never removed. Connection to the mother she'd lost. Reminder of the strength she'd inherited. Talisman against darkness. Downstairs, she found Alexander already in the kitchen, making breakfast. Pancakes, chocolate chip, her favorite since childhood. The kitchen smelled like butter and vanilla and love, like home, like safety, like everything those 12 weeks had tried to steal but failed. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Alexander smiled, real smile, the kind that reached his eyes, the kind he'd had to relearn after Eleanor's death and Celeste's betrayal. 17. I can hardly believe it. Thanks, Papa. Eva hugged him, long, tight, the kind of embrace that said I love you and thank you, and we made it all without words. They held each other for a moment, fathers and daughter, both changed by trauma, both healing together, both grateful for ordinary mornings that once seemed impossible. You ready for today? Alexander asked. Big plans at the Haven. Always big plans. 3 new intakes. Group therapy. Sophie's finally ready to tell her full story. It's going to be intense. You need me to come? Provide support? No, but thank you. We've got it covered. Maggie's doing cooking therapy. Reverend Ashford is leading the afternoon session. We're good. Finn thundered down the stairs. 10 years old. All energy and elbows and enthusiasm. Growing so fast, his jeans were perpetually too short. Eva, happy birthday. Did Papa make the good pancakes? The best pancakes. With chocolate chips. With chocolate chips. He whooped, grabbed 3 pancakes off the serving plate, drowned them in syrup, ate like he was starving even though he wasn't, would never be again. But old fears lived in the body, expressed themselves in hoarding food, in eating quickly, in always taking more than needed just in case. Dr. Harrison said that was normal, said food insecurity left lasting marks, said to let him eat however much he wanted, said his body was still learning that food would always be available, that abundance was the new normal, that scarcity was the past. They ate breakfast together, the 3 of them plus Maggie, who'd appeared like magic when food was ready, laughing, teasing, Finn telling elaborate stories about school, Papa making terrible jokes, Maggie pretending to be scandalized by everything. Normal, beautiful, safe. The kind of morning Eva had dreamed about during those dark weeks. The kind of family she'd fought to protect. The kind of love Celeste had tried to destroy, but couldn't, because love, real love, is stronger than hate, more resilient than cruelty, more powerful than evil. After breakfast, Eva drove to Evangeline's haven, her pride, her purpose, her way of turning pain into something useful. The building was a converted church on the edge of town, white siding freshly painted, red door bright and welcoming, small sign out front, Evangeline's haven, safe space for healing children. Alexander had funded it, but Eva ran it. With a staff of 3 counselors, 2 art therapists, 1 play therapist, and Maggie, who ran cooking classes twice a week. They served 20 to 30 children at any given time. Children removed from dangerous homes, children in foster care, children healing from abuse, children learning that adults could be trusted, that home could be safe, that they deserved love and protection and dignity. Eva unlocked the door, turned on lights, the familiar routine soothing. This place was hers, her creation, her gift to the children she couldn't save when she was 10, but could help now. She walked through the building, each room designed with intention, with care, with understanding of what traumatized children needed. The play therapy room with its sandbox and puppets and toys that let children express what they couldn't say. The art room with supplies for painting and drawing and sculpting, creating beauty from pain. The interview room designed to be comforting rather than clinical. Soft chairs, warm colors, tissues always available. The library with books about healing and hope and children who survived impossible things. And the kitchen, Maggie's domain, where children learned that food could be love, that cooking could be therapy, that nourishment mattered body and soul. This place, this haven, it was everything Eva had needed during those 12 weeks and didn't have, was everything she wished had existed when she was locked in a cellar praying for rescue, was everything she could offer now to children walking the same dark path she'd walked. Her phone buzzed. Text from Jennifer Walsh, now 23, college graduate, social worker, working at a children's advocacy center in another state. Happy birthday, warrior. 7 years ago, you saved both of us. Never forget how brave you are. Love you. Eva smiled, texted back, love you too. We saved each other. Because they had. 2 victims, 110, 116, standing together against a monster, refusing to be silenced, choosing courage over fear, and in that choice, changing everything. That evening, after the haven closed, after the last child had been picked up after Eva had locked the doors and driven home through winter darkness, she found a letter waiting. Not in the mailbox, on the kitchen table. Alexander must have brought it in, must have seen the return address, must have decided to let Eva find it on her own time. Oregon State Penitentiary, Maximum Security Women's Facility, from Celeste Blackwood. Inmate number 847392. Eva's hands trembled as she picked up the envelope. 7 years. 7 years of silence. 7 years of healing. 7 years of building a life beyond the trauma. And now this intrusion, this reminder, this. She should throw it away, burn it unopened, never let Celeste's words into her head, into her heart, into the life she'd built brick by painful brick. But curiosity, that terrible human instinct, won. She opened it. The handwriting was different, shakier, older. Prison had aged Celeste, changed her, broken something that money and beauty and manipulation had always protected. Dear Evangeline, I don't deserve your attention, don't deserve for you to read these words, but I'm writing anyway, because I need you to know something before I die. I'm dying. Cancer, pancreatic. The doctors give me 6 months, maybe less. Ironic, isn't it? The same disease I used to hide Eleanor's murder. Now it's real. In me, growing, killing me slowly the way I killed her. I've thought about you every day for 7 years. Wondered how you are, if you're okay, if you've healed. I read about your haven in the prison library. Someone left a newspaper article. Child abuse survivor opens advocacy center. Your photo. Older, beautiful, strong, unbroken despite everything I did to break you. And I felt something I didn't think I was capable of feeling anymore. Pride. I'm proud of you. I know I have no right. Know that my pride is worthless, meaningless. But I feel it anyway. 7 years of therapy. 7 years of being alone with myself. 7 years of facing what I did without the ability to lie or manipulate or pretend. And I finally see it. Finally understand. I was broken. Hurt as a child. Badly. My stepfather. For 5 years. My mother knew, watched, did nothing. And that pain, that betrayal, it twisted something inside me. Made me into the monster I became. That doesn't excuse what I did to you, doesn't undo the damage, doesn't make it okay. But it explains why I hurt you, why I targeted vulnerable children, why I became the thing I hated most. Hurt people hurt people. It's a cycle, a terrible, vicious cycle. And I never broke it, never even tried, just repeated the pattern, inflicted on you what was inflicted on me, became my stepfather, became my mother, became everything I swore I'd never be. You broke the cycle. That's what makes you extraordinary. You were hurt, terribly hurt, and you became a healer, a protector, someone who helps children instead of harming them. You did what I couldn't, what I wouldn't, what I was too broken to even attempt. I'm sorry, Evangeline. Truly, deeply, completely sorry. The words are inadequate, insufficient, can't possibly carry the weight of my regret. But they're all I have. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I hurt Finn. I'm sorry I murdered Eleanor. Yes, murdered. I can say it now, can admit what I did. I'm sorry I stole 12 weeks of your childhood. I'm sorry I gave you nightmares that probably still wake you. I'm sorry I made you afraid. I'm sorry I made you doubt that adults could be trusted. I'm sorry for all of it. Every moment, every cruelty, every calculated act of torture. I wish I could take it back. Undo the damage. Give you back your innocence. Give Eleanor back her life. Give your family back the peace I destroyed. But I can't. Time only moves forward. Actions have consequences. And my consequences are justice. Thank you for stopping me, for being brave enough to speak, for fighting when everyone told you to be quiet, for protecting your brother, for saving Jennifer, for making sure I could never hurt another child. You didn't just save yourself, you saved every child who would have been my next victim, every family I would have destroyed, every life I would have ruined. You were 10 years old and you stopped a monster. That's heroic. That's extraordinary. That's something special. I hope you have a beautiful life, Evangeline. The life I tried to steal. You have earned it. Every moment of happiness, every success, every joy, every peaceful night's sleep, every morning without fear. All of it. You've earned all of it through suffering and courage and choosing light over darkness. I'll die soon, alone, forgotten, in a prison cell, And that's what I deserve. That's justice. I'm not asking for forgiveness, not asking for sympathy, not asking for anything except that I see what I did. I understand what I was, and I'm sorry. With more regret than words can express, Celeste Blackwood. Eva read the letter 3 times. Let the words sink in. Let the apology, real or performed, she couldn't quite tell, wash over her. Celeste was dying, finally feeling remorse, finally admitting what she'd done, finally acknowledging the monster she'd been. Eva should feel satisfaction, vindication, victory. The monster dying in a cage, justice complete, evil punished, good triumphant. But instead she felt sad, empty, tired, because this didn't undo anything, didn't heal the scars, didn't give back the 12 weeks, didn't erase the nightmares, didn't make the frostbite scars disappear, didn't bring mama back. Apologies don't fix what's broken, don't heal what's damaged, don't reverse time or undo pain. They just acknowledge, admit, accept, and sometimes that's all they can do. Eva showed the letter to Reverend Ashford the next Sunday after service. He read it carefully, thoughtfully, then handed it back. What do you feel, child? Confused. She hurt me so badly, tried to kill Finn, murdered Mama, and now she's sorry. Now she wants what? Forgiveness, absolution, permission to die with a clear conscience. What do you think she wants? I don't know, maybe she really is sorry. Maybe prison and therapy and dying changed her. Maybe she finally grew a conscience. Or maybe she's just scared. Scared of dying. Scared of facing God with all that sin on her soul. Scared of judgment. Does it matter which? Ever thought about that? I don't know, does it? That's for you to decide. Forgiveness isn't about whether the apology is genuine. It's about whether you want to carry the anger anymore. Whether you want to let it go. Whether you want to be free. Eva sat in the quiet church, touched Mama's cross. What would Mama want me to do? Your Mama was the most forgiving person I ever knew. Forgave people who didn't deserve it, who didn't earn it, who didn't even ask for it. But Eleanor also understood something important. What? That forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the hurt didn't happen, doesn't mean reconciliation, doesn't mean trusting again, doesn't mean letting someone back into your life. It just means releasing the hate, letting go of the anger, choosing not to let the person who hurt you continue to hurt you by living rent-free in your head. Eva considered that. I'm not sure I can forgive her. You don't have to, not today, not ever. Forgiveness is a choice, a gift, not an obligation. But you can pray about it. Ask God to help you carry it, to help you find peace whether you forgive or don't. That's enough. Eva prayed. That week and the next and the one after. Long prayers, short prayers, angry prayers, confused prayers. Prayers that were just tears and silence and the desperate need for peace. And slowly, over days and weeks, she found something. Not forgiveness exactly, not yet. Maybe not ever. But release. She wrote back. Celeste, I received your letter. Thank you for your apology. It doesn't undo the damage. The scars, physical and emotional, are permanent. Part of me forever. But I understand now what Reverend Ashford has been trying to teach me for years. Hurt people hurt people. You were broken. And instead of healing, you broke others. That's tragic. For everyone, for you, for your victims, for all the people you could have been if someone had helped you instead of hurting you. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, not because your apology erased anything, but because I deserve peace, because Mama taught me that hate is a poison that hurts the person carrying it, because I refuse to let you poison me anymore. I survived your cruelty. I won't let your memory continue the damage. I forgive you. And I release you. I release the anger, the bitterness, the desire for revenge. All of it. I'm letting it go. Not for you. For me. I hope you find peace before you die. I hope you make your peace with God. I hope in whatever time you have left, you find some small measure of redemption, some small moment of grace. I'm praying for you, not for your release, not for your escape from consequences, but for your soul, that it finds rest, that God's mercy covers even the worst of us, that there's hope for everyone, even monsters who choose to stop being monsters. Thank you for your apology. Thank you for admitting what you did. Thank you for the work you're doing at the Haven, because without you, I wouldn't understand what broken children need, wouldn't know how to help them, wouldn't have this purpose. You tried to destroy me. Instead, you made me stronger, gave me purpose, showed me what I'm capable of surviving. And for that, though you never intended it, I thank you. May God have mercy on both of us. Evangeline Thorne. She sealed the letter, mailed it, felt something lift, some weight she'd been carrying for 7 years, finally blessedly released. Forgiveness was complicated, messy, not the clean resolution movies promised, not the simple choice sermons suggested, but something harder, more nuanced, more real. She forgave, and in forgiving, she freed herself. Not from the scars, not from the memories, not from the occasional nightmares, but from the hate, from the anger, from the poison. And that was enough. The night of Eva's 17th birthday, house quiet, celebration over. Eva couldn't sleep, went to the kitchen, saw the clock, 3:00 a.m., 7 years ago. Same time, making soup for dying brother, now everything different. Pantry unlocked, overflowing, house warm, safe, home. She pulled out ingredients, Mama's recipe, began to cook, footsteps. Finn appeared, 10 now. What are you doing? Making Mama's soup. Couldn't sleep. Can I help? Of course, they worked in silence. Brother and sister, survivors, family. Do you remember that night? Finn asked. Yes. I don't remember much, just being cold, and you singing, Jesus loves me, Mama's hymn. Do you still have nightmares? Sometimes, less now, but yes. Sometimes I wake up scared, then remember, it's over, we're safe. Me too. They finished the soup, it simmered, smelling like love, like home, like healing. Papa came down. What's all this making soup for tomorrow's group? He joined them. 3 of them in the gentle 3 a.m. darkness. Do you know what I love about this time? Eva said. 3 a.m. used to be the worst time, but now it's peaceful. Just us. Just safe. That's healing, Alexander said. Taking back the time that hurt you. Making new memories. Finn yawned. Can we have some? Eva ladled 3 bowls. They ate together. Warm, nourishing, made with love. 7 years. Alexander said, look how far we've come. You're here now, Papa. Present. That's what matters. Outside. Dawn coming. Grey lightening to blue. It's morning, Finn said. Yeah. Eva smiled. It is. They watched the sunrise, eating soup, comfortable in silence. Eva realized she'd made it. Through the night, through fear, through 7 years of healing, to this moment, this peaceful, beautiful, safe moment. Mama had been right. God had a plan. Survival, healing, using pain to help others, turning trauma into testimony. The clock struck 6, day beginning. I love you both, Eva said. We love you too. Together, a family, broken, healed, whole, and somewhere Mama watched, smiling, proud. The sun rose higher. Eva's 17th birthday, first day of the rest of her life. A life earned, a life lived in light. No more 3 a.m. fears, only 3 a.m. peace. And morning, always morning. If you're listening to this story, if you've stayed with Eva through her nightmare, through her survival, through her healing, thank you. But more importantly, if you know a child suffering, a child being hurt, a child scared and silent, please be their voice. One person can change everything. Mrs. Pemberton saved Eva by making a call. You can be that person too. Available 24/7. If you're a child listening, if you're being hurt, If you think no one will believe you, I believe you. Eva believes you. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. You matter. At Evangeline's Haven, we help children every day. We have seen miracles. We have seen healing. We have seen survivors become warriors. That can be your story too. Share your thoughts below. Your words might save someone. Subscribe for more stories of hope, of survival, of justice. Thank you for being here, for caring. God bless you, because we all have power to save a child's life. Let's be a world where no child suffers in silence, where every child knows they're loved, protected, valued. That's Eva's dream. Let's make it reality. And remember, morning always comes. Even after the darkest 3 a.m., the sun always rises. Always.